Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unanswered Questions. Sometimes during our live broadcasts, we don't just get enough time to answer all the questions.
Sometimes all the time.
True. So we're going to answer some top upvoted questions from students we didn't get time to get to.
Cool. Let's go after it.
Alrighty. First question. If you have a private account on TikTok, is it really private?
Go for it.
Well, you can privatize it, say, from your friends and people who may look at your account, but any activity, any searches, any accounts and things you like and follow, I mean, that's still data in the TikTok servers, so it's not as if it's private from the TikTok company.
Right. No,
so
they see it.
It's not that private.
Yeah.
How much is too much time spent on screens per day?
I'll take that one. Canadian American Pediatrics Association said, up to about the age of 6, you really shouldn't be putting much unless you're allowing them to talk to grandma on those FaceTimes. After that, it's not about how much time they're doing online. It's what they're doing with the time, right? If they're using it to be creators and, and doing stuff like that, that's good. However, if all they're doing is consuming, that's like bubble gum for the brain. So again, the whole thought process here is let's get away from talking about screen time and asking yourselves, it's not about how much time they're spending online. It's what they're doing with that time that's most important.
Yeah. Is it okay to lie about age on a website you're signing up for?
I'll take that one as well. I'm going to say it depends. Although we shouldn't be doing it, really, when you do put your date of birth on there and it's real date of birth, you're kind of giving out personal information that maybe you don't want others to have, right? So
it's not like you're usually sharing that with the public.
No.
It's only the company, and some companies do have a terms of service. You can't lie about that stuff.
But there's no age verification that's going on. However,
no, but if you say your birthday is this day and then they can track it back, unlikely that will happen. Yeah. Or you forget your password, they may ask you to recovery, what's your birthday?
That's true.
Oh, I put a random birth date in. So
that, I say we shouldn't be lying. However, there may be circumstances from a safety standpoint, maybe, right?
Yeah, if it's like a simple, small game you want to play and test out, it's not something that you put a lot of personal time into. Yeah. It's probably fine, but your email account that might verify your age,
different.
You may want to actually have that proper. Is using face recognition on a phone a bad idea?
Go for it.
No, not at all. I mean, are you a government spy? Maybe not. But anyone, like any average, normal human being, even working professional, Face ID on a phone, it's fine. I mean, sure, there have been lab studies where someone's 3D printed someone's face and all that stuff, but highly unlikely you'll come across that issue.
Yeah, it's interesting to see where biometrics are going, right? It'll be interesting to see where that goes. But, facial or the thumbprint as well, biometrics, they're fine, right?
Yeah. Is it illegal for companies to take our information?
No, I mean, yeah, it depends. But a lot of these free social networks that you're joining, if you actually read the terms of service, which nobody ever does because they're like 50 pages of microprint, right? But it's quite clear that by joining it for free, you're giving them the right to use whatever information you're posting to their financial benefit.
Yeah, there are in some areas around the world, there are laws around privacy. A company can't just randomly harvest your information, but if you sign up for their service, then you agree between them and their agreement that you will share information.
Yeah, for sure.
Should I let apps track my location? What apps are you okay knowing your location?
Like a good example, Google Maps. If I'm using Google Maps to get from point A to point B and I've never been to point B, I want my location services on, right? Yep. If I'm taking pictures, do I necessarily want to geotag my pictures with the longitude and latitude? Probably not, unless I'm a professional photographer.
Yeah.
Right? So it depends.
How long has the White Hatter been around?
Our company's been around now for 29 years. However, teaching digital literacy and internet safety for about 10 years now.
I think it goes like 13 now.
Really? You figure that's how long? Okay.
I think we said 13 prior to lockdown.
Okay.
But I think people tend to forget that those were years lost.
Yeah. But I mean, even if it's 13, we've really been going hard for about the past 10.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Are marketplace apps like Facebook and VarageSale generally safe?
Go for it.
It depends on how you use it. We actually have a video on YouTube talking about buying and selling things on the internet. So check out that video. But, there's standard rules and policies in terms of if you're meeting somebody, what do you have cash on you? Well, that could bring some challenges. Right. Meeting in a secluded space, that could bring some challenges. So we have a whole video actually on buying and selling online. So check that out. Is there a risk to using Minecraft?
Go for it.
If you're using Minecraft in unsafe ways, yes. I mean, vanilla Minecraft, totally fine.
Vanilla?
Vanilla.
Is there chocolate? Is there strawberry? Neapolitan Minecraft. Woohoo! Okay, boomer. I know.
So, standard Minecraft. You're not playing online. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. I mean, you could lose a lot of time. If keeping track of your time would be important. But you're playing online, you know, whose server are you connecting into? What are you talking about? What kind of content are they talking about and sharing? That's the biggest risk. But
really, there's no more risk in Minecraft than there is in Fortnite or Among Us or any other games out there. It's not the application of the game. It's how you use it.
Does a VPN or using Tor protect your privacy?
It does a little bit more to protect your privacy. It doesn't do it 100%, but it definitely helps.
Yeah, there are some people who have the belief that they install Tor, the Onion browser, and that they're anonymous on the internet. You got to do a lot more work than just that.
For sure.
If it was that easy, I think a lot more people would be doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you get viruses off of a computer?
Well, use antivirus malware like we use Bitdefender. There's others out there as well, but you know, if you put antivirus on your computer, not only does it stop it from coming in most cases, but it also, if it does get in, it also helps to nuke it as well.
Yeah, viruses are codes in your device, and sure, you could find the code yourself, but unless you are an expert coder, you may have a hard time doing that. So that's why there are these companies that you do pay money for, but they're there for a reason. In case there is a bad code, kicks it off.
Yeah.
Strangers keep airdropping my stuff. Should I accept them?
One simple word: no, because you don't know what they're going to drop onto your phone, right? Like, you shouldn't be doing that. You should only have your airdropping set up so that you have to accept it before you do it. But if you don't know the person, don't accept it because you don't know what you're dropping onto your phone.
Yeah. Or you can at least limit your at least for airdrop on iPhone, you can limit to only your contacts. So people in your contacts list can airdrop you. That's at least immediate middle ground.
Yeah.
What are the dangers of Discord?
Oh, you're big on Discord, so you go ahead.
Oh, Discord's great. I mean, unlike Facebook and others, it's not like it's bombarding you with advertisements.
Right.
I mean, except for Nitro, but I mean, it's great. The dangers of Discord, the biggest challenge compared to most other social networks is they have artificial intelligence designed to remove harassment, bullying, and hatred. Discord, it's usually on server moderators to manually review and delete things, and yes, there's automod bots and such, but you have to do the initiative of enabling those. So
I also think that if you're going to have a Discord, have a private Discord channel so you can control it rather than an open one, right? So,
yeah, making sure it's your friends that you actually are connecting with, playing games with. But you know, if you're allowing just anyone anywhere to connect into your Discord, generally they can say anything.
Yeah.
And most modern social networks, there's limitations. Discord, not so much.
Yep.
But Discord's great. It's so much more powerful and customizable, and
okay,
no advertisements.
Easy. I'm going to get you a Neapolitan Discord channel.
What coding language do you recommend we learn for future jobs?
I go Python. What do you think?
Yeah, Python's a really good, versatile, entry-level language to learn from. And it's versatile because you can take what you learn on Python and kind of branch into other languages with a fundamental understanding about how the system works.
Like HTML5, JavaScript, C++, right?
Yeah. Python's it's a pretty good starting point.
Yeah, I agree.
For which type of questions do you think contacting the White Hatter is appropriate? For example, needing help with sextortion versus a question about a VPN or website. Would you consider the latter something to research on your own?
No, we answer questions of a whole variety of different sort when it comes to digital literacy and internet safety, right? So, I mean, if a question comes in and is specific to digital literacy, internet safety, then we'll usually answer the question.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking about if you're involved in a sextortion situation, are we going to do a whole investigation on that? Depends. I mean, typically there's law enforcement who get paid for that kind of job.
Correct.
So we can provide guidance and direct you to the right place. But it's not as if we take every question and do a whole-blown investigation.
No. And when it comes to recommendations, we'll provide recommendations, and then we say to the people, dig a little deeper. Here's some really good resources for you. Dig a little deeper, right? Yeah.
Do you have merch?
We get that asked a lot.
At this point, we need to have some kind of merch.
I know,
because everyone asks that.
Now, when we were in schools pre-COVID, we had merch. We were throwing out pens.
No, that was swag.
Oh, that's true.
It's not like we were selling that stuff.
No, okay, you're right. That was swag. It's not merch, because merch is something that you sell.
Yeah.
We're getting asked that a lot. Maybe we should have our own merch. What do you think? Oh, something to think about. We'll talk about that this summer.
Summer project.
I'll
add that on the queue. How do I delete or disconnect from a hacked email?
Go for it.
Yeah, so you have a suspicion that someone's in your email. Always first case scenario, change your password, because typically when you do that, we'll initiate any device logged into your email to enter the new password. So hopefully that will kick off the hacker or the scammer.
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't work, I don't know how that would not work, because every time you change your password, I guess the problem is, what if a hacker steals your email? So you no longer have access to the password and they change it. Could you recover it? Well, you'd have to go through your email program's recovery password.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes if a hacker's quick and they're doing a good job of what they're doing, you may lose access.
Yeah, we've helped a couple of students and even adults where that has happened. They're so quick at what they do. By the time you recognize that you've been targeted, it's too late. They've already got full control, right?
A hacked email is arguably the worst type of account hack that could possibly happen. Because sure, your Facebook gets hacked or your Instagram gets hacked, you recover it from your email.
And that's why having such a strong password to protect your email is so important, right?
Or deploying two-factor authentication.
That's the other one too.
Your email needs to be the most secure account you ever have.
Yeah, for sure.
Do ad blocking apps work? Yeah, they work. I mean, I think I use uBlock, I think, on my device.
Mm-hmm.
But they work. Yeah,
they do.
And they're kind of nice.
Yeah.
Because advertisements are, Can students go to jail for sharing nude pictures with others?
The answer is maybe. Context is everything, right? But is it likely that a youth is going to end up actually going into jail? Probably not. I mean, because of the Youth Criminal Justice Act here in Canada. In the United States, it might be a little different. But can a student go to jail for sharing nudes? Yeah, you can be arrested. You can be charged. You can be evicted. And depending upon where you live, you may end up having to go to jail. But context is everything.
Mm-hmm. Can you see what teens post all over the world?
Well, if the postings are public, then yes, you can. If they're private, probably not, unless somebody else has screen captured it and took those private conversations and turned them and posted them publicly.
Or if you're an employee for that company, or police get a warrant, or but it's not as if it's public for everybody.
No.
But usually someone somewhere can see it.
Mm-hmm. Depends
on the app. Can our information be stolen even when we are researching on Google or reading articles?
Just understand that Google Chrome, Google as an industry is well known to data mine whatever it is you're doing. So whatever you're looking at and doing and using, say, the Google browser, they're recording where you're going and what you're doing, right? So that's why I say if you're really concerned about your privacy, we recommend instead of using Google Chrome, think about using Firefox or the Ghost Read browser or the Brave browser where this doesn't happen.
Yeah. But even if you're using Firefox, you're searching on Google, well then it kind of also defeats the purpose.
For sure.
So it has to be a whole layered approach.
Yeah, for sure.
Are there laws against using teachers' images without their knowledge?
It depends. Yes, there could be, right?
Are you making threats? Are you making defamatory claims? Are you harassing and intimidating?
Are you taking pictures on school property where there's clear policy and code of conduct in place that says you shouldn't be doing that? Not criminal.
That wouldn't be a law. That'd
not
be
criminal.
Policy.
Not criminal. It's a violation of policy, which is kind of a quasi-criminal kind of thing, but it's still a breach of a policy in which there could be action. So if you're taking pictures without the consent of a teacher on school property, you're likely in violation of code of conduct, and there could be consequences dealt out by the principal.
Yeah.
Under the School Act.
Yeah. It does depend. But if it was a picture in a public space on the sidewalk of a teacher, and it's not like you said anything horrible or mean about that, it's just here's a picture.
Is that illegal?
No.
Probably not. No.
Unlikely.
No.
How do we keep ourselves safe from possibly harmful individuals when playing co-op multiplayer modes in video games?
Go for it, dude.
The best way is to make sure you're playing your games with your friends that you actually care about and know.
Yeah,
that's the best strategy.
And a lot of times you can create your own private servers like on Discord or some of the other ones, right? Where you have your own server so you know that only those people that are in there you know.
Yeah. And it depends on on the game. I mean, some games you can co-op play, but they don't have co-op play via voice chat.
Yeah.
So you're somewhat more safer because they can't say horrible, evil, ugly things.
Gotcha.
So it does depend on the game you're playing too. Is it better to live without social media?
You know what? Those people who decide not to, that's okay. That's okay. But, you know, today the world, it's so ambiguous, right? It's around us all over the place. So as a result of that, we actually believe that teens and young people who become good digital citizens will have an advantage. But, you know, there's some people who want to have nothing to do with social media. And is that okay? Yeah, that's okay, right? It really is. But in today's work environment, I do think that having a social media presence in a positive way has more advantages to an individual than maybe somebody who doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think of it like you don't have to have a bank account, but the advantages in terms of employment and being paid, having a bank account is actually really important.
So having the money under my mattress in my bedroom is not a good idea? Joking, I don't do that. Right.
Will excessive use of social media make your sleep schedule and body weak?
It depends. You know, if you're using your social media at night till late in the morning, what's commonly known as vamping, where you're vamping to all hours of the morning, then yes, because good research shows us that teens need between 8 to 12 hours of good sleep every night in order to allow your brain to fully develop. And if you're not, then that can become problematic. So that's why all the current experts say that they want you off your devices a minimum of 30 minutes, if not an hour before going to bed, because it allows your brain to slow down. So when you do put your head to pillow, you're going to fall asleep quicker to get those 8 to 12 hours of good sleep.
Mm-hmm. If you post something and you delete it before everyone else sees it, is that post still visible to anybody? That depends. So
probably.
So a couple things. You post a picture to social media, your friends get a ping, but you delete it before they get a chance, like within seconds. Will your friends see it? You reduce the risk of that.
You gotta be quick.
You gotta be quick. Two, if it's a public posting, there are social media and artificial intelligent bots who are scraping social media every second and they're copying public things. So now if you post something in a private space, your friends get a ping, and before they get a chance to see it, you delete it. Well, the original image, video, or the metadata may still be saved in the server of the program you're using. So not like everyone can see it, but the company you posted on.
Or maybe the police.
Potentially. So it depends on the situation. But, you know, once you post something, consider that someone somewhere might be able to see
exactly.
it. Even if you delete it within seconds.
Yeah.
Is there a way to stop people from looking at your history and your latest private postings?
Well, a lot of people use incognito mode or private viewing mode to go about doing that, right? Where it won't, if somebody else uses the device, then if they go into your history, it's not going to be there.
Yes, but even though you use incognito, the websites you visit can have their own copy of your history.
Right.
So.
But I think is there a way to stop people from looking at your history and your latest private? I guess it depends upon how you take that question, right?
Yeah. To prevent people from like picking up your phone, taking a look at it, yeah, sure. Incognito could help with that.
Right.
Your latest private postings, well, you can make sure your account has a password. Mm-hmm. Make sure your phone has a password.
Right.
So if someone picks up your phone, they go into your private online video storage app. They don't get to see everything you posted privately.
And the other thing too is even though you're using, and you said it, although you're using incognito or private viewing mode, your internet service provider, whoever they are, Shaw, TELUS, AT&T in the United States, whoever they are, they're still recording all that information, right? Mm-hmm.
What should I do when someone threatens to dox you?
Go for it.
That's a hard one because it depends on what the doxing is. Mm-hmm. So if someone is breaking into your accounts and stealing your information that way, well, then we're looking at various criminal code offenses in terms of hacking. But if someone collects information about you that's already publicly available, but they just curate it as a dossier about you and they post it, I mean, all the information is public, so it's not like they're breaking the law or anything.
There may not be criminally there, but maybe civilly there might be, right? So you could be sued, but therein lies the difference, right?
You can sue anyone for any reason. It
That's
doesn't matter
true.
if you have a grounds and basis to win the case.
But the threshold to get a conviction under both is it's much higher for criminal than it is civil, right?
Yeah, but then the defense just says, well, it's all public information anyways.
Yeah, I guess it depends upon how you use that public information. That's going to make it's again context.
I guess in regards to like blackmail, if someone blackmails blackmails public information, does that still classify as blackmail in the criminal code?
I think if they're using it in such a way that they're threatening to use it to do this, then yes, it would fall under.
But even though it's public
threats.
information?
Yeah, but if they're collecting it and then threatening that they're going to post it, there's the other threat. Right? I mean, it would have to be up to a court to make a decision, but if I was in law enforcement, that's how I would look at it. Like, it's not my decision to decide what the courts are going to do. So I'm going to look at case law first, and if there's no case law, then I'm going to do what I think is reasonable, put it before the court, and then let the court make the decision.
Right, because the blackmail section, it just says basically making a threat about something.
Correct.
Regardless if it's public or private.
Correct.
Okay, fair enough. It may be different in your state or
Correct.
country.
It differs from country to country, state to state, right? Here in Canada, we're lucky we have one criminal code applies to every province, right? So
yeah, but our population is a fraction of the U.S.
Exactly.
We are the size of just California.
That's true.
That's it.
Population-wise.
Yes.
Not land mass.
No, land mass. No, no. Population.
We got lots of land up here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
But everyone seems to be like at the border.
Exactly.
Like beyond like that particular parallel, it's just like no one's there.
Exactly.
It's a lot of land.
Too cold.
Yeah, true. What if someone leaks your private info? Then what should I do?
Go for it.
Ooh, what are they leaking? So how did they do the leak? I mean, if you sent something private to somebody else and they just take it and post it publicly, I mean, it's not really, depending on what it's private. If it's a nude naked photo, that's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah. Again, we keep saying this, but again, a lot of these questions you can't answer with a yes or no or give a distinct answer. It comes down to context of how what is being posted is being used. Like, if it was private information, how did they get it? Because if it wasn't public and it was private, the only way they would have gotten that private information potentially is they could have hacked into your device.
Or if you shared it with them.
Right. And so, but if they hacked into your device, that's illegal.
Yep.
Right. So again, context is everything with some of these questions.
How many white hats do you own? Well, let me think. I have, there's one I usually wear. You have your main one. And then
I got two.
There's two back here. I have two of my old ones in my closet.
Yeah. Because they're white, they get dirty so quickly. So that's why we buy new ones every couple of years.
How many do you have? Do you have it in your place?
I have two.
I have two.
Yeah, I have two.
So that means there's three that I have. You have
two.
That's
4.
4, 5, 6 at least.
And then 7.
Yeah, okay. So
because they get dirty so quickly, right?
How intertwined are social media companies and law enforcement government agencies?
Wow. I mean, if you believe what Snowden had to say with some of the files, they're extremely woven in together, right?
Well, I guess it depends on what branch of government,
that
right?
too.
If we're talking about the secret 3-letter agencies,
FBI, DEA, NCIC, all that kind of stuff.
Then,
RCMP.
Perhaps there could be something there in terms of regular police who are just, the majority of law enforcement. And some social media companies are more amicable with police compared to others.
Yeah, for sure. I do think that, things like the Patriot Act give government the ability to access this type of information. But, again, this is why I always say that no matter what social network, no matter what platform, no matter what you're doing, as soon as you hit that send button, just remember it can be public, permanent, searchable, exploitable, copyable, shareable, and exploitable by anybody. Yeah. Right? So...
Yeah, the Patriot Act. Yeah. And it just happens the social media apps that are popular that happen to not have servers in the United States. Yeah. Somehow those ones get banned.
Exactly. Yeah.
So only one country can have all the data? Interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because people are talking a lot about the TikTok app and how China's gathering all this information. Well, guess what? So is Facebook, so is Meta, so is Snapchat. They're all doing it, right?
They sell that data. So what's stopping China from buying the data from Facebook, Instagram, and all those other companies? Yeah. Like, they can just buy it.
Exactly. And what's interesting is, here in Canada and the United States now, federal government, you can't download TikTok onto your devices, right? They've banned it here in Canada in federally owned devices like phones and that kind of stuff. But I'm going, well, what about these TVs and radios that we're now buying that have Chinese chips built into them? Are we going to do the same thing with them? Like, where is this going to stop, right?
We did ban Huawei...
the cellular stuff. Yeah. I mean,
there's so many other things.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the tech chips that we use, guess where they come from? China. Right? So it's interesting, right? For sure.
Does law enforcement feel they are winning the battle against online crime?
I don't think they feel like they're winning the battle, but we're catching up, right? Like, you know, I'm going to be honest, like when in policing, we had no idea what was going on in this stuff. So we were behind the 8 ball, right? Like, and so, but law enforcement is slowly catching up, but you know, things are going to become more difficult because as more and more of these platforms move to full encryption, then law enforcement, even by way of warrant, aren't going to be able to unencrypt some of this criminal stuff. So, I mean, we're still playing catch up, but at least we're getting closer.
Mm-hmm. Can universities and colleges still look at our Instagram accounts even if they're set on private?
No.
Well, I mean, they might be able to find the private account with the name and see the profile picture and the bio. But that's really about it.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
If someone else uses your device and does something bad on it, will it still go on your record?
No, probably not.
Your internet record, yes.
Yes.
Like your history, and that might be something you have to make some explanations about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if I lend my device to you and then you take that device and go and do something criminal, does that mean I'm going to be charged for it? No, but what I can tell you is when the police have to do a search warrant, guess whose name goes on the search warrant? The person who owns the phone.
Who's the prime suspect?
Yeah, it's the person who owns the phone. Yeah. And then it's up to me to explain to the police, hold on. Yeah, it's my phone. I own it. But you know what? I gave it to Brandon and on this date and this time, and he's the one who used it. So he's the guy you want to go and talk to.
Yeah. Right? And then that info is then public on the internet in terms of what that person did potentially. And then you may or may not be able to delete it. So that may create some awkward situations.
Yeah, okay. But in most cases, the answer is no.
Yeah. Talking about legal record.
Legal, yeah.
Is it okay to be a YouTuber and swear in videos? Is that okay? Or can that be used against people if they want to get jobs or something like that in the future?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you use language, be it appropriate or inappropriate, you got to understand there could be consequences, both positive and or negative.
I guess it depends on what your future career goal is.
That's right.
If you want to be in politics and lead your country, well,
careful how you answer that question, because guess what? I see a lot of politicians saying things they shouldn't be saying and doing.
Things are changing.
Like, it's brutal.
Especially when the 2008 election happened.
You know, what really torques me a little bit is, you know, there's a lot of media out there saying, look at all the horrible things these kids are doing online. Holy crow. I can tell you as an online investigator, I see adults doing way more things criminally and things that they shouldn't be saying or doing than I ever do teens. Yeah. Like teens are actually being better digital citizens than adults are. Mm-hmm. And if we adults are supposed to be role models for our kids, well then,
yeah.
Anyways, I'll get off my soapbox now.
Statistically, you're using maybe vulgar language online. Is that going to negatively impact you in terms of job career opportunities? Probably not, but it does depend on the job you're looking for.
Yeah, you know what's funny is there are some digital literacy educators like ourselves who do the work, not saying that we're doing it, who say don't use language. And then when they're posting stuff, they're using language. Like, hello, walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yeah,
right.
True. If a hacker has a burner phone, is it harder to catch them?
Yes.
Typically,
it's harder to catch them. Not impossible, just a little harder because you may not know they have the burner phone. But once you know they have a burner phone, then you're on the path, right, to get them.
Can someone hack your old phone?
I don't understand that question.
Yeah, I get it. So the thing with old phones is that usually they're no longer supported and receiving security updates. Yeah. So if you happen to have an old phone and it just so happens to have battery charge in it and it's on, then I mean, possibly yes. Perhaps one of the biggest challenges I could see is you have an old phone, toss into a recycling bin, and it's locked away, doesn't get like ground up or anything. Someone walks around, sees an old phone, picks it up. It's an old iPhone 4, which there's clearly security workarounds. And then you haven't properly deleted your private stuff, and then they get into that.
Yeah, like I was when I was in businesses, like a lot of copy machines now, they have a hard drive built right into it. So whatever you're scanning gets stored on the hard drive. So all of a sudden you get a new copyright machine or photocopying machine, you garbage the old one, but the hard drive is still there. So if you're a company that's like a medical company or something like that, and you got really important private information, that can be accessible, right? True. So,
is it still illegal that my nudes are leaked, even though I don't care about that?
Ooh, is it still illegal that my nudes are leaked? Yeah, if somebody
are we talking about you under age of 18?
Yeah.
Then yes, then the image is being leaked.
Yeah, without your consent. That's a good point, right? If you're under the age of 18, no. If you're over the age of 18, Depends. It may not be criminally illegal, depending upon context. There could be civil ramifications. Like we had a case just recently here in Canada where a person leaked a nude over the age of 18 and they were sued and they have to pay $160,000 to the victim as a result of that. So again, context is everything. But if you're under the age of 18, yeah, probably still illegal, right?
Yeah. Because the image is still...
Yeah, still under the age of 18. And it was non-consensual.
Even if it was consensual, you can't publicly post a consensual picture publicly on the internet under the age of 18.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah.
In those no. Why can border officers seize your phones?
Yeah, I think that comes about as a result where we share the fact that if you're traveling from Canada to the United States, and although the nude on your phone may be illegal to possess depending upon context, it's illegal once you hit the U.S. border. U.S. Border Patrol, the federal law, has the right for them to seize your phone and search. It's just a law, right?
Yeah, because under border laws, essentially anything that comes into a country is subject to be searched, which means even data. Yeah. So that's where that comes. Now there are guidelines for how and when those officers can do those searches.
Yeah, a good example. When I was in policing, in order for me to search a phone, I had to have reasonable probable grounds to believe that the phone was being used for a criminal purpose. U.S. Border Patrol, all they need is the phone hitting the border, and they've got the right to search legally.
But they do have guidelines. They do. Although they have the right to do that, they have some internal guidelines on when they can do that.
They do.
So
especially if you're coming back into Canada, there's more clear guidelines for Canadian Border Patrol than there are U.S.
Yeah. Is it bad to make people feel uncomfortable?
Well, I'm gonna boomerang that. How would you feel? Right? Like, how would you feel?
Yeah.
So the answer to that question is, yeah, it is bad, right? Like, what are we doing? So.
Now, in regards to, is it illegal? I mean, there's some things that depend on that, but if you're making someone feel uncomfortable online, you're building an online history of yourself doing that, which could come back and negatively impact you later on.
Again, how would you feel if it was you, right? So, no.
Why is it hard to get scammers in other countries?
Because they're in countries in which North American law enforcement can't touch them, right?
Yeah,
that's the issue.
Not every country has the same laws as your country, and sometimes hackers and scammers, they will pay off law enforcement in certain regions and through corruption, and they won't get charged.
Exactly. It's
just what it is. Are QR codes the safest way to get into websites?
It depends.
So here's an interesting...
Because we use a QR code when we're doing our presentation, right?
Yeah, that's one that we control.
So that they can communicate, but we control that.
Yeah. So there have been some interesting hacker experiments where a hacker and scammer on like a poster in public, they would print off their own malicious QR code and as a sticker, stick it over top of other QR codes.
Like there was one here in Victoria of a realtor. They were using a QR code to send people to their website to see the house. Another realtor printed off QR codes and was putting it over their QR code. So when somebody was looking, it would take them to the other realtor's site, right? So,
so yeah, generally probably not.
Yeah.
It depends. Like what we do is in our programs in the moment, we flash one up that obviously we're the ones controlling it.
We're controlling it at the time.
Yeah. If it's just on a poster, I mean, the probability of it being a malicious code, unlikely.
But the risk is increased, right?
There is that possibility.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you use similar passwords for different accounts?
We don't recommend that.
No. Just not recommended.
No.
Because once that one password's figured out, then everything else is at risk.
Clearly, different passwords for different accounts is the best practice.
How does the police find the people that post things that are named anonymous?
Although it's anonymous, when you're using a device, there's a specific IP address as well as what's called a MAC address assigned to specific devices.
And metadata.
So that's one of the ways that they go about doing it. Now, unlike TV on CSI, where they can do it within 5 minutes, that is a process. It could take hours or even days to be able to do that. But I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of it, but that's basically how they do it.
If someone steals your identity, are you responsible for what they do with your identity? Well, you may have to answer some questions.
Yeah, you're not responsible for it, but all of a sudden, if you're applying for a job and somebody's Googling your name and somebody else has stole your identity, they're going to go, hey, listen, I noticed that somebody with your name and your date of birth and address was arrested for robbery. Are you not telling us something you should have told us? So therein lies the danger, right?
Yeah. Is Apple's hide my email a good thing? Yeah, it's actually not a bad solution. It protects your privacy, yes. Is there a potential challenge with that? Because what if you want to switch over to an Android device one day? So there could be some account management challenges.
Why would you want to switch over to an Android device?
Oh boy. Just saying. Yeah, it protects privacy, but I do have some questions about the overall management of your account.
Right.
Yeah. It does kind of lock you into Apple to a degree. Did I do something illegal if I sign in on TikTok when I'm under the age of 13?
No, you're in violation of their terms of service. It's not illegal, but you're in violation of their terms of service. And if that is brought to the attention of TikTok, then TikTok can nuke your account if you're still under the age of 13. And if you lied, that also is a violation of their terms of service, which also gives them another reason why they can nuke your site.
Does blocking someone truly get a person blocked, or is there a loophole? Hashtag hi smiley face.
Go for it.
Well, it's not like when you block someone, they're Thanos snap from reality.
Thanos snap. That's as about as when you said vanilla. You got a couple of one today.
They still exist as a person. So yes, they could get a new account with a different email and message you again. I mean, if they're putting that much effort into it, then you're probably dealing with something a little more serious. Right. But most of the time when you block, remove, and delete someone, they go away and bother somebody else.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Some great questions again, eh?
Can you get malware from regular websites?
Let me take a stab at this and then I'll let you fill in. Probably not, unless you're clicking a link on that site that may, unknown to the site, take you to another site that maybe downloads it on. Did I say that right?
Yeah, but usually you have to be the one to accept the download.
Right.
In the early days of the internet, what's known as a drive-by download.
Right.
Visit a website, you get a download.
Yeah.
Nowadays, the browsers all by default don't allow that.
Right.
So usually you have to be the one to go, I accept the download.
Right.
And then you get a virus.
Right.
So, I mean, is it possible? It's the internet. Anything's possible, but unlikely nowadays.
Yeah, if it's a reputable site, the risk is extremely low.
Yeah.
Right.
Just make sure what you download from proper, legitimate websites.
Stay away from downloading stuff off of BitTorrents and pirate sites, right? Like,
can someone figure out your finger ID print? In theory, yes. In practice, I mean, we have seen cases in lab experiments where somebody copied a fingerprint and put it on a scanner. So
what you're telling me is Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise, where they do that, is not really happening?
Exactly. In a laboratory control environment, yes, it can happen, but
can someone figure out your finger ID? Probably not. Now, having said that, I think I tell this joke every time. I fell asleep in my sleepy chair, my rocking chair. Beth needed to get into my phone, so she actually lifted my thumb without me knowing while I was sleeping, put my thumb on the thumbprint to get into the phone, right? So
yeah. At least thankfully with like the Face IDs, you have to be awake to use it now.
That's true.
Before you didn't have to.
No.
But now they've added that feature.
I mean, it was a common tactic, a little morbid, but it's true that, if police came across a dead body and the dead body had a phone and they didn't know who they were, they could just take the thumb, put the thumb onto the phone print, and all of a sudden the phone would open up, and then the information, they now knew who the identity of the body was, right? But with facial ID, it's not like you can...
No, you have to be awake and conscious to use Face ID. So I guess that does make it a little harder for phones and bodies.
Yeah.
Does YouTube watch what I do? Yeah, they have a record, especially if you have an account and you're logged in. It's definitely tracking every video watch, everything you like, every comment you make. But that's just any social network. Yeah.
That's a good question.
Is incognito exposed to our parents?
So in other words, the teen is asking, if I'm using incognito mode, can my parents see me going to Pornhub? That's basically what they're saying. The answer is... depends. If they're using a router and the router is tracking where you're going, even if you're using incognito mode, the router will pick up that you're still going to the hub or other sites that you shouldn't be going to, and your internet service provider is collecting it. And depending upon your internet service provider, if your parents own the internet service, which they probably do, can they make application to the internet service provider, say, hey, listen, can you tell me what is being downloaded from my IP address? And some of the internet service providers will do that.
Yeah. The browser won't have the information, but other places might.
Yeah. The hub.
Is there a way to prevent apps from tracking you? Yeah, there is. On smartphones, you go into the privacy setting and you can read all the features you wish or do not wish to have on your phone to be tracking you. So, but you have to actually manually select that.
And there's some apps out there that can help, like Privacy Badger, right? Is a good example as well, right? Yeah.
Is it bad to have a podcast?
No.
No?
No. It's, again, it depends upon what you're saying and doing in the podcast.
Yeah. What is the podcast about?
Exactly. So I'm glad we caught that one. When I said no, but I went, depends upon content, right? So yeah. No, I actually think podcasting is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool way for young people to start branding who they are. If it's positive podcasting, it can lead to a great career. It can lead to future jobs, all kinds of stuff like that. But again, it depends upon what it is you're talking about in the podcast. Yeah.
To what level should social media companies be held liable for the harm that their products cause users?
I think this is where you and I differ a little bit, right? Like,
well,
like I personally believe that they're protected what's under called Section 230 in the United States, where they can't be sued for what other people are posting. And that's presently before the U.S. courts right now.
The Supreme Court.
Yeah, the highest court. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that one. Here we go.
But that Supreme Court is very much pro-liberty.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, right?
I have some interesting hypotheses on how they're going to rule on that.
We'll see. But I do believe that willful blindness of these individual companies for the purposes of financial profit, especially when it comes to youth and some of the things that they're posting and saying, they should be held accountable. That's my belief.
Interesting. That's an interesting philosophical question, because should firearms manufacturers then be able to be sued because of what people and how they use their weapons in inappropriate ways? Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I do.
It's just, currently right now, if the U.S. Supreme Court rules that social media companies are not responsible, well, then we know that the U.S. Supreme Court has already basically supported firearm
what's interesting is the arguments are now over, and those people who thought the way that I think that, let's change Section 230, I think they're kind of believing what you're now thinking, because they're now saying, the lawyer who was arguing on our behalf didn't really do a good job. And I think what they're now seeing is that, we don't think maybe the Supreme Court is going to say, kind of thing. So it's very interesting to see where this is going to go, for sure.
The loophole that I've seen being made by legal arguments is the algorithm.
Yeah.
Section 230 protects individual people or the companies from what individual people post.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with the algorithm at which they push content to people.
Right.
So one of the ways that these arguments are going is that the algorithm is not protected. So if it were a scenario where you have the old-fashioned internet, where you have a feed and nothing's filtered, you're not being pushed anything, that's what Section 230 was designed to be about.
Yeah. Like, a really good example, if a social media site is pushing a video that shows people how to do things that they shouldn't be doing criminally, and it's hurting youth, and it's brought to their attention that they're doing this, and they're not doing anything to stop it, like, do I think that there should be some accountability? Absolutely.
Yeah, like the video is being recommended by you, by the company.
Yeah.
So there is the intentionality behind what's being the content.
Yeah.
So, but if it were a feed and you follow somebody who's posting evil, horrible, ugly things, but not because of an algorithm, you just sent that because you have subscribed to their content feed, that's what Section 230 was about.
It's going to be interesting. Like, hang on to your hats. This is going to be an interesting decision, right?
I think there could be
a hybrid approach.
Or there is amendments to basically address the algorithm.
Right. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, right?
When I saw that argument, I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
What's interesting is, like I say, those people who were kind of in my camp saying we need to change 230, they're now starting to make excuses saying, maybe our lawyer didn't really do what he should have done the way he presented it. He didn't do it as strong as we wanted him to. So it's going to be interesting, right?
Yeah.
I think they may see the writing on the wall, as they like to say.
Yeah. And given the current Supreme Court makeup, given their pro-liberty. U.S. Yeah. But generally, whatever the U.S. changes on the internet law will affect the entire world.
Well, and the other thing, too, is that although they may make that illegal in the United States, well, then what will an internet service provider do? They'll just move their servers to a different country.
That's true.
Right?
And then what? Then with China, and then what? You ban them? So then, are you people going to vote for you because you banned YouTube?
Yeah.
No, you're not going to get reelected.
It's going to be very interesting to see what's going to happen, right?
Yeah. Could you imagine if the U.S., in terms of their TikTok ban, made that for every consumer phone?
Well, yeah. Well, you know what
they would not get reelected.
You know what the kids would do? Pretty simple. Get a VPN. Show me in Australia. Show me in here. Show me in a different country. Right? Like, just what they would do,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. Yeah.
Like I was reading one feed from some of the teens that we were talking to going, yeah, you know what, Darren, if they ban TikTok in the United States, I'm going to just turn my VPN to Toronto, Canada, and then I'll be able to access it, right? And I went, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Pretty much.
Kids are pretty smart, right?
Mm-hmm. Does Snapchat watch you even if you're not taking pictures or just looking through it yourself?
Does Snapchat watch you even if you're not taking pictures and just looking at yourself?
Do they track you?
If they track you, but are they looking at you through the camera? No. Right? But are they tracking what you're doing and what you're saying? Yes. It's a free app, so the only way they're going to make money is by monetizing what it is that you're doing on their platform. But are they actually looking at everything you're doing in front of your camera? Probably not.
Yep. Will there be laws for data protections in the future, / are there any laws for data protection currently in Canada? Yeah, there is. I can't recall exactly off the top of my head which ones they are, but in my experience, they're usually they're not very strong.
Yeah, I think what you're going to see here is we're looking to things like the right to forget, things that are going on in Great Britain, the EU, and what's happening in Australia. I think you're going to see those types of privacy protections starting to flow more into Canada before the United States does.
Well, yeah, right? We do have our privacy laws.
Yeah,
there's a privacy law dictating what the government agencies can do, what private agencies can do. If you're breached, what's your disclosure policy? So we do have here in Canada privacy laws.
Yeah. And in fact, those privacy laws are a lot more stringent. Like a good example, when we're doing investigations in the United States, I can find like driver's license information, right? Up here, privacy laws prohibit that from taking place, right?
Yeah.
So it's just, we do have stronger privacy laws here in Canada, but I do see on this question, I think you're going to see some more things coming in on data protection, not just privacy, but data protection. I think you're going to see some more of that starting to mature as we start to learn more about this place called the online life world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are our top upvoted questions we didn't get time to get to in February.
Yeah, some good questions.
So thank you all so much, and we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.